Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a debate on a ballot measure that would allow Arizona to opt out of federal rules. Also tonight, where to go for information to make an informed vote on retention of judges. And we'll hear about a store that only sells things made in Arizona. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Our Vote 2014 coverage continues tonight with a debate on Proposition 122, which would prohibit Arizona from using state and local tax money to enforce what the state legislature determines as a bad or unconstitutional federal law. Here to debate Prop 122 is Jonathan Payton of the Yes on 122 campaign, and speaking against the measure is Sandy Barr, director of the Grand Canyon chapter of the Sierra Club. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us. What exactly does Prop 122 do?
Well, just like you said in your introduction, it gives the citizens or the legislature and the governor the ability to opt out of spending money or using state resources on certain federal measures that they vote that they don't like.
Why is this necessary?
When you look at most federal laws that are passed, most of them need the state's or the county or the city's input or involvement in order to actually enforce them. Some of those things are bad for the state of Arizona. I think we've had a lot of debates over Obamacare, for example, in our own state. This gives the citizens a way of saying, look, this is certainly federal law, it trumps state law, but we don't have to spend our resources on it.
How do you see Prop 122, what it does, and why you think it's not necessary?
Well, first of all, it is another really bad idea referred by the Arizona legislature, and they have a history of referring measures to the ballot and passing measures that are unconstitutional. This is another one of those. The state legislature does not have the authority to decide what is and what is not constitutional. And that's really the crux of the problem with this. They already have the authority to decide what is funded and what is not funded, but they can't decide that the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, Religious Freedom Act, any of those important federal laws that are broadly supported by the American people and the people of Arizona, the legislature doesn't get to decide, no, those are unconstitutional, and by the way, we are not going to cooperate. It's not just about spending money, it's about cooperating and implementing those important laws.
The idea that it's a nice idea, but the legislature can't do this.
Well, first of all, Sandy is fundamentally wrong about that it's the legislature that decides whether something's constitutional or not. The U.S. Supreme Court decides whether something is constitutional or not. It says in the bill, the way the language is, we cannot do something that's unconstitutional. It restricts us from doing something that's unconstitutional, but it certainly doesn't it does not put that as a restriction on us that it has to be constitutional or unconstitutional for us to actually implement Prop 122. If it isn't right for Arizona, we don't have to spend the money on it. It isn't even a debate about whether something's constitutional.
Well, first of all, I disagree with that. Obviously, that's not what it says. It does give the legislature this authority, although I would agree that it is contrary to the U.S. Constitution and the separation of powers that is in the U.S. Constitution. The thing about this is that I think a lot of people don't understand. The legislature tries to restrict programs from being implemented all the time. A good example is Pima County. They have the Sonoran Desert Conservation Plan. It's a plan to implement the Endangered Species Act provisions. And Pima County voters have voted to fund that program and implement it. The legislature under this could say, no, we think it's unconstitutional, and we say no state funding, no resources, no cooperation relative to the Endangered Species Act. Pima County couldn't implement it.
Respond?
My response is the legislature on its own could not do that, and Sandy knows that. It would have to be the legislature and the governor together, or the people. So there is a political process. And by the way, if the legislature wanted to do what Sandy's talking about, they could do that tomorrow. They don't need, if they were in session, they don't need Prop 122 to do what she's describing. But there are other issues that Prop 122 would be extremely helpful with. And a perfect example of that is Child Protective Services is an issue that's very important to me. They have consistently used CAPTA, the federal law, as an excuse of why they cannot release information on fatalities and near fatalities. Prop 122 could say, no, you have to be, we will not cooperate or spend our resources on any program that conflicts with state law as it relates to
The problem with
public.
that is not the federal law. The problem with that is the state agencies and the people in the state. And right
And they're
now,
using
the
the-
state legislature could demand
They
that
have.
they comply.
I actually wrote the
and-
laws that did it, and they still are not
also
obeying
properly
those laws.
fund the agencies to do the work that is
There's-
needed. I mean, the fact
They don't
that
need
you guys
funding.
are trying to hang this on federal privacy laws is pretty outrageous.
It is,
I
it is,
think.
but it's
Pretty
absolutely true.
outrageous.
It's absolutely true. They don't need money to make copies to give to media sources. They don't need money to make copies for the citizens of this state, but they've used a federal law as an excuse why they cannot release that information.
That's right. They
I-
used it as an excuse. It's not about the
and-
federal law. It's
and
about the
and
state
Prop 122
agencies.
would take that excuse away from them so we would actually know what's going on.
And you could see them saying, oh, well, you know, we don't like the Clean Air Act provisions, and so we're not going to
But who
allow.
is they?
The legislature has already tried to restrict the Department of Environmental Quality from cooperating on Clean Air Act provisions.
But why should cities, towns, counties pay for federal laws that cities, towns, counties, the state, all the Arizonans in general don't want, don't like, and don't think they need?
Well, just because the legislature says they don't like it doesn't mean the people of Arizona don't like it. That's one thing. But the other thing is, last I looked, we're still part of the United States of America, and we do implement federal laws. There is cooperation, and it's important that we have it. There's a long tradition of doing that, of working cooperatively, whether it's on wildlife issues, whether it's on air quality. I don't think we want it any other way. This is just asking for a lawsuit, and we have enough lawsuits from the legislature.
The idea of making these changes through Congress, that federal laws go through Congress to make these changes, as opposed to something at the state level, which critics say will wind up in court pronto.
Well, and the Goldwater Institute drafted this ballot measure. I think they've had a pretty good success rate with the U.S. Supreme Court. We're very confident that we'll win if we are sued on this issue. But the fact of the matter is, there's nothing that requires us or obligates us as a state to pay for federal laws. It simply isn't true. The Prince decision, that was actually a decision that came out of Arizona itself. Graham County Sheriff said, I don't have to spend my money to do background checks for the federal government.
Right,
The U.S. Supreme Court agreed with them. I still want to finish this. They agreed with him, and there's been multiple other decisions just like that, including on environmental issues when they were trying to force the state of New York to put in nuclear waste sites there. They said, no, we're not going to cooperate. We're not going to use our resources for it. That's completely within the prerogative of the states and local communities.
And I just said that earlier. I mean, you're totally missing the point. Of course, the legislature has the authority to decide where the dollars go, but they don't have the authority to decide that something is constitutional
say
or
that.
not.
It
Well,
flat
it does
does not say
indeed,
that.
and it prohibits. It says that the legislature can prohibit cooperation, implementation, any effort to work on
But it's
a
still
law
not the
that it
legislature.
decides is unconstitutional.
And I think this is
it's
an important,
pretty outrageous.
This is an important point. Sandy keeps saying the legislature. We have a political process of checks and balances within our own state. The legislature certainly proposes legislation, but the governor either signs or vetoes that legislation. It's no different in this process. The governor would have to sign or veto it, or it'd be voted on by the people. So you can't just simply say it's only the duly elected people of individual districts around the state. It's also those people plus the governor, the chief executive as well.
Well, of course, that's basic civics. I mean, I wasn't saying the governor didn't have a role, but the bottom line is the legislature sends a lot of really bad stuff up to the governor, and the governor doesn't always veto it. This governor has vetoed some of this stuff. The legislature bypassed her on it because it's so ridiculous and sent it to the ballot.
It's a constitutional amendment, so
Yeah.
they'd have to send it to the people. So that isn't a real
But it's-
argument.
Okay, let's get to some bottom line things here. Bottom line, for those who support this, it generally protects against federal overreach. Good thing?
I would say that this in itself is overreach. This is not about protecting against federal overreach. This is overreach to undermine important federal laws and muck up the works so they're not implemented until the lawsuits are decided. And I've read this many times. I've talked to many people about it. And if you look at most of the newspapers that have come out against it, again saying This is a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's another one of those ridiculous ideas from the Arizona legislature. Time to work cooperatively, to problem solve, and stop thumbing our noses as a state at the federal government.
And with that in mind, bottom line for you, opponents say that it makes Arizona look extreme, makes Arizona look irresponsible, makes Arizona look foolish.
I think a check and a balance doesn't look extreme or foolish. I think that's about as American as it gets. This gives the citizens of Arizona the chance to say no to a federal government that is reaching beyond what it was intended to do. It gives us, and certainly it gives the people of Arizona, the citizens, the right to vote on some of these important issues.
All right. Good debate. Good to have you both here. Thank you so
very
much
much.
for joining
Yeah,
us.
it's great being here. Thanks.
Things voters will be deciding this November is whether or not certain judges should be retained. Here now to discuss how voters can learn about judges up for retention and how judicial performance reviews work in Arizona is Mike Helen, chair of the State Commission on Judicial Performance. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for being here.
Arizona's judicial retention system. Give us a definition and an overview here.
Well, it's part of the merit selection system whereby in the major counties we select judges on elements of merit, not on politics. But as a check on that, we give the people a chance every 4 years to vote whether those judges appointed by the governor should be retained in office. Our job on Judicial Performance Review Commission is to evaluate each judge's performance who is up for retention and report our findings to the public as to our best judgment of whether they should be retained or not.
And just some basics here. This is every 4 years, every judge every 4 years is up for retention?
Every Superior Court judge in Pima, Maricopa, and Pinal County is up for retention every 4 years. The appellate court judges in Divisions 1 and 2 and the Supreme Court are up every 6 years.
Okay, and the Judicial Performance Commission is what?
It's a constitutional commission appointed by the Supreme Court, consists of 30 members representing public members, judicial members, some lawyers from Maricopa, Pima, and Pinal County, and a few from outside of those counties. I serve by appointment as chairman by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
And basically the commission then looks at judges and votes on their performances, their standards. How does that work?
We survey litigants, witnesses, jurors, staff members, lawyers, anybody, any category of person who has firsthand knowledge of each judge's performance in the courtroom. And we gather that data. We ask people to give us their best judgment of whether that judge merits retention on a broad array of subjects: legal knowledge, application of the law, judicial temperament, fairness, administrative ability, communications. It's a very, very broad-based decision-making process.
Indeed, and other information can be submitted by the public and by those?
Yes, we hold public hearings in each county, Pinal, Maricopa, and Pima, before we make our decisions. We invite the public to come in and give us whatever input they think we need to know in order to make a good decision about any particular judge.
And then voters then have, basically the judges are listed along with numbers and how they did in these particular standards?
Are you talking about in what we look at?
Yeah, well, actually what
They-
the voters get to see too.
Well, they are anonymous to us when we make our judgment. We have codes. We review Maricopa Civil Judge 10, for example.
Yes.
We don't know who that judge is
Interesting.
unless there is an issue with the judge we want to explore and the judge comes before us to meet with us. At that point, of course, we know who it is. We render our judgments primarily anonymously, but the judges' names are on the ballot.
Yes.
And there's a transition from our vote for Maricopa Judge 10 to John Jones, who is that judge.
And then we as voters see John
you
Jones.
see John Jones on the ballot.
and we see what those standards are and how they did.
That's correct. You see how we voted, whether 29 commissioners voted yes or 29 commissioners voted no.
How often do judges not meet standards?
I've been on the commission for 9 years, and there have been 4 times in my memory that we have voted not to retain a judge.
I noticed this go around, I found one in Maricopa County Superior Court and one in Pima County Superior
correct.
Court. Is that unusual to have
It's
two?
very unusual.
Yeah, and the one in Maricopa County, 25 of 29 voted against. That
Okay.
sounds unusual.
It is remarkably unusual.
And communication skills and temperament on this particular judge seem to be the biggies. I notice, we've done this for a few years, kind of looked at this particular issue. Communication skills, that's always a factor when things don't go too correct. Does it seem like that's always a biggie?
Well, it is, and communications, in my view, is a euphemism for what I think is one of the most essential parts of our court system, and that's the manner in which decisions are made. I believe that in order for our courts to have the confidence of the public, every litigant, every defendant, every person who appears before a judge needs to, whatever the outcome is, needs to know and believe and feel that his or her point of view, concerns, situation has been not just heard by the judge, but understood, considered, and became part of the decision-making process. When we find that a judge is a little bit imperial and not considering the input from the litigants, we tend to respond negatively.
And that kind of blends into judicial temperament as well, correct?
Exactly. How people are treated. They need to be treated, whatever else the situation is, in a courtroom, they need to be treated with fairness and respect.
So what if I'm a judge and all of a sudden I see these I'm not doing too well here and I think I'm just fantastic. How do judges get to respond to this?
Well, part of what we do, it's kind of a parallel process. We have conference teams, and every single judge, regardless of whether the commission votes to retain or not retain, every single judge is met by a 3-member team, a judge, a lawyer, and a public member, who goes over the findings of the surveys in detail. And they talk about where you're pretty good here, but you need a little bit help here. And we provide that information to the presiding judge of each court. And we encourage the judges to seek, could be mentoring, could be maybe a communications course, whatever he or she needs to do to beef up his or her performance. And I have to tell you, most of the judges respond very favorably to that.
Interesting. So I was going to ask, do they listen? Do they respond?
And conversely, the judges that we think less of tend to respond less well. The good judges respond very well to that kind of input.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so as voters, how do we learn about how these judges did by way of these standards?
You go to our website. You probably have it on the screen. I think it's www.judicial
Is it-
judicial.
Okay, can we find it from azcourts.gov?
Yeah, that's
and
it.
JP/JPR.
azcourts.gov/JPR. Forgive me, I should have known
That's
that.
all right. No, that's all right.
But here in Maricopa County, every judge up for retention, you will see how we evaluated that judge.
All right. Well, great information. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate
I
it.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
A retail store in Chandler is changing the way some people shop and some artists become known. Producer Christina Estes brings us the story.
I love hand throwing on the wheel. I'm not a production artist, so I don't do a whole bunch of the same thing over and over again.
Miles Roberts draws inspiration from Arizona.
I love the cactus. I love, the smell of the rain when it hits the sage. I love, the mountains, the earth tones. Everything about the desert ends up coming through into my work.
That includes a wolf named Sam.
Very gentle, never aggressive. My wife raised this wolf, and he's mostly wolf with a little bit of collie. So what happens is he sheds like crazy, more than I've ever seen any other dog shed in my life. You pet him for 5 minutes and you got a whole handful.
Rather than get frustrated with Sam's hair flying around the studio, Miles started using it.
The wolf has a down hair, like an undercoat, which is actually gray, is where the term gray wolf comes from. And then they have the overcoat. So one of them's a thicker, longer hair, and one of them's a shorter, real fuzzy, kind of a very light hair. And those two thicknesses of hair give it a nice dimensional quality. A little bit goes a long, long way.
After the glaze and a couple trips to the kiln, Sam's hair stands out while blending in.
It gives it a nice natural look, a nice natural finish.
Roberts sells his pottery at shows across the western U.S. and in downtown Chandler.
We are Sibley's West's gift shop. You're going to see things that you're not going to see every place else.
Like mesquite cutting boards crafted in Bisbee, aspen walking sticks carved in Dewey, and Navajo blanket animals made in Avondale.
We've lived here for 18 years, and we struggled to find gifts to send to relatives in Illinois and New York that were from Arizona. And we were finding that we were sending a lot of gifts that they've probably seen already in their own places. And so we said, boy, it would be cool if we could do a store with just things from Arizona.
That's just what John and Michelle Wolf did in December 2010.
We have more than 200 Arizona suppliers, and primarily they are individuals. So when I look around the store, I go, okay, there's Tim's work, there's Gary's work, there's Barbara's work. They're not suppliers, they're people behind everything you see.
Requests for prickly pear products pop up most often. Sherry's Desert Harvest in Tucson has been providing a taste of the Southwest for almost 30 years.
She harvests 35 tons of prickly pear fruit every August and September. And then from that, squeezes the juice out, and with the juice makes the jellies and the syrups. She makes the chewy candies that everyone loves.
This isn't what they expect. They aren't expecting to see wine, for example. They're not expecting to see food. They're not expecting to see garments that are made here.
And the Wolves never expected to attract so many customers from around the world.
When our guests come in, we invite them to sign our guest book, and then we put a dot where they're from. And this is our second map. Our first map after 3 years was pretty full.
Wolf says people from nearly 100 countries have left their mark.
Thank you so much, guys. You're welcome.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Virtually every check that we write goes to somebody in Arizona. That feeds the economy, and we're proud members of Local First Arizona, and really believe in this idea that small can be good.
It really isn't about the product itself. It's about the story behind the product and the people behind the product.
In one case, it's also about the wolf behind the products. Although Sam died a couple years ago,
And he was just beloved by everyone. He was a good pup.
Roberts says he left behind memories and plenty of hair.
Shouldn't run out.
Sibley's West also offers Arizona wine tastings and classes. Wednesday on Arizona Horizon, another debate on a ballot proposition. This one would give dying patients the right to try experimental drugs or treatments. And we'll hear about a new study looking at how human activities impact aggression in chimpanzees. It's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. A reminder, all of our debates and our Vote 2014 coverage, you can find it all on our website, azpbs.org/horizon. That's azpbs.org/horizon. That's it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thanks for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.